Hello and welcome to this special programming on NDTV as we mark World Cancer Day 2017. I'm Nikhil Inamdar. It's called the Emperor of All Maladies, and if some estimates are to be believed, over 700,000 people in India succumb to it every year, making cancer a leading cause of death in the country. What's to explain the high incidence of cancer in India? How do we compare with the rest of the globe? Can early detection and preventive lifestyle measures go some way in eliminating the risk? And how reactive has public policy response been to this growing burden in the country? Those are some of the issues that I will be discussing over the next half hour with a very eminent set of doctors and oncologists from the Asian Cancer Institute who join us in the studio. With me is Dr. Ramakant Deshpande, a thoracic surgeon. We also have Dr. Deepak M. Parekh, who joins us. He specializes in head, neck and laser surgery. Joining us also is Dr. Sanjay Sharma, who will tell us about breast cancer, and Dr. Jagdish Kulkarni, whose area of expertise is gynec and robotic surgery. Thanks so much, gentlemen, for joining us here in the studios. I want to begin with a very simple question, just to sort of do a bit of a refresher for our viewers. What exactly is cancer, Dr. Deshpande, and where do we stand today in terms of our understanding of the disease and our ability really to combat it?
The human body is made of millions and millions of cells who are arranged in a particular order and serve appropriate functions. Any abnormality which occurs in this, an unruly kind of a multiplication of cells, proliferation of cells, which does not serve any useful purpose and keeps on multiplying, eventually being detrimental to the very living itself, is what we call as cancer. This is akin to, in a human population, if you have a large, huge band of criminals in a particular area, something like that, akin to that. As you said, yes, almost about more than 700,000 people pass away every year because of cancer, but the real incidence is almost about 1.1 million. That's about 11 lakh.
So there's an underreporting?
No, the deaths are 7 lakhs, but
okay.
The incidence, the new cancer patients are almost about 11 lakhs. 55% of these are women, and because of the hormonal variations and because of the stress relations, normally women tend to have a larger number of cancers. And you'll be surprised that this incidence is practically half of the world cancer levels. In a developed country, you have a much larger incidence of cancer, at least double of that. And if we are going to be a developed country over a period of time, in the next 10-20 years, our incidence of cancer also will go up.
One of the main things is that there is usually, with the word cancer, a stigma is attached to it. And that was our main problem with the public. Just to give an example, a patient would walk in, but prior to that I get a call or a note from the relatives, please don't disclose the diagnosis to the patient. And that is something which gradually we have seen over the last 15-20 years is kind of receding. Patients are being counseled, they're being told upfront. And one of the major reasons for that, I think, is because our understanding, as you rightly mentioned, is far better today than it was 25-30 years ago. It's to do with the biological behavior of the cancer cells, the understanding of how they spread, and hence we have got multiple fronts, which I'm sure we'll discuss a little later, of how we tackle it. And this has been to an advantage to be able to counsel the patient and the relatives of the outcomes and what they're going to go through in the treatment.
Right. So, as somebody, who wants to come and actually get a checkup done, Dr. Sharma, what are the early signs, the symptoms that people ought to be watching out for? Any sort of ungainly growth that should worry you and that should actually get you to a doctor? And have you actually seen the incidence of people coming for early diagnosis increasing in India?
To answer your second question, certainly people are getting more and more aware, and especially in case of women cancer in urban areas, there are great awareness. People come, and now initially we are getting about 70 to 80% patient in advanced stages, and only about 10% patient will come in very early. Now that incidence is increased up to 30%, 35% in younger people especially, to have come with a lump in their breast. Regarding the other presentation, there are basically 7 warning signs. Any growth which is growing fast, any ulcer in the mouth or any part of the body increasing, hoarseness of voice, difficulty in swallowing, bleeding from their normal orifices, excesses of bleeding which continues. Obviously, in advanced cases, patients have their loss of appetites and loss of weights and all the things. And other hematological malignancies, patients develop fevers and all kinds of weight losses and all. So these are basically any mole which is increasing, any ulcer in the mouth, especially in the people who are of having a lot of lifestyle effects on their life, which is the principal cause, and which we can discuss that, is one of the primary reasons why these cancers increased over years.
Right, but Dr. Kulkarni, how important is early diagnosis in treating cancer, and is that a game changer that people should really be concerned about getting themselves diagnosed early?
Well, I think what you said is absolutely right. It is a game changer.
Yeah.
If you can diagnose early, you can cure him well. So that's important, and I think all efforts should be made, and we are making it. When I was a student back in 1980s, we used to get patients with advanced diseases coming more or less to the terminal stage. However, we are finding, and I must say, at this point, the revolution which IT has caused with the awareness among the second generation of the patients who are, they are willing to quickly come to the diagnosis. I mean, they are inquisitive, they ask questions, and therefore we find people are getting aware of this diagnosis. And once you get aware, of course, you will be in a position to be treated well. Certainly the cure can be guaranteed.
Okay. So, Dr. Deshpande, you spoke about this sort of phenomena, this disease which spreads in your body. There's this uncontrolled division of the so-called abnormal cells. How much of this is a matter of genes vis-a-vis, for instance, the choices one makes in life, whether it's to smoke, whether what one eats, where one lives, how much one exposes oneself to pollution? How much do these variables really matter in cancer?
Say, ultimately all cancer is genetic. Unless and until there is something wrong which happens with the genes, you can't really have a malignancy. But the deciding factor about this genetic change could actually come from an external source. For example, pollution or habits or irritation, like tobacco is a known carcinogenic, particularly in lung cancer, and almost about more than 8 cancers now directly involved with it. And it's to a large extent. So the lifestyle cancers are almost very, that's probably one of the most predominant reasons. Atmospheric pollution has been accepted now as one of the carcinogenic agents by the World Health Organization itself. And a few of them are directly related to the genes, for example, the familial cancers, but they are less than 5%. Today, almost every family which exists anywhere in the world will have either a member of the family or a first relative who will have at some stage or the other suffered from cancer. So there is no point in talking too much about genetic aspect, but I think what is correctable is the external influences like the habits. For example, if we eliminate tobacco, almost 30% cancers will go down. If we reduce pollution, another 10% may actually go down. So,
in fact, I mean, Dr. Parekh, have you seen this sort of cancer related to tobacco and smoking coming down? Because the incidence or the number of people smoking or the number of people actually, consuming tobacco has come down in India. And has that shown any tangible effects as yet?
The problem with this is that the tobacco habits, it's one part of not taking tobacco at all versus stopping it after 10-15 years.
Right.
The issue with tobacco is that the impact is not immediate. Like, as I tell my patients very often, if you take alcohol and you have 2 or 3 pegs, the next day you get up with such a bad headache and a hangover. That doesn't happen with tobacco. But even if you stop it, if they've been consuming heavily earlier, after 10-15 years, a cancer can start happening. So what needs to be emphasized in tobacco and betel nut, which are some of the common habits within our country, is just eliminate and do not get into the habit.
Dr. Sharma, before we start the show, we were talking about incidence, and you said that cancer is not an entity that's really moving in one direction. I mean, we've seen better numbers in certain types of cancers, certain other types of cancers, actually we're seeing the incidence going up. So give me a sort of snapshot of what are the types of cancers whose dangers are going up in India, and where have we seen the reduction?
Let's start with the good news.
Okay.
The cervical cancer, of course, Dr. Kulkarni is an expert in that, has gone down in, per 100,000. Initially it was about 30-40 per 100,000. Now it's come down to only 20 per 100,000. So it is reduction for whatever good reasons. Now it's very important news. Basically, it is more to do with cleanliness, less pregnancies, less abortions, people getting aware, and obviously going in for early checkups, and more importantly, now development of vaccines. Unfortunately, because of the changing lifestyle, what we call as fast lifestyle or McDonald's style of lifestyle, with eating habit changes, no time for exercises, girls working, getting married late, going to the office, no kids, no breastfeeding for a long time. Incidence of breast cancer is rocketed over last 2 decades.
Right.
Previously, it was in urban areas was 22 per 100,000. Now we are talking something between 30 to 35 per 100,000.
But this is still in its infancy. The research is still on that. And I think we need to look and study more the demographics in our country to understand that better.
All right, we'll discuss lots more, in fact, to discuss. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the public policy response to cancer. Has that been adequate in India? We'll also talk about what the ACI has really been up to in this area and how technology, robotics, for instance, is shaping the future course of the disease. That's when we come back. Stay tuned.